Hello and welcome to Andy's Code Vault. Today I'm going to show you some of the basics of the Pi.js JavaScript library. I'm going to be coding in the Pi.js.org editor. It's right here under Apps, Editor. So I've got an empty project here. The first thing I'm going to do is create a new JavaScript file by going to File, Create New File. I'm going to call it main.js. Alright, so we have a blank file over here. You might notice this green X over here. This means it's going to be included in the project, and if I uncheck it, it's not going to be included in the project. Alright, I'm going to create a basic Hello World program. First thing I'm going to do is create a screen. Now I'm going to press Control R to run the program, and then it will run. I could have also clicked this button here to run it, or File, Run. There's also an option to update the program. So let's say I've got the program running already, and now I just want to make an update. So I'll press Control U to open it, to update it, and I'll switch back to the program and then refresh it, and then we have Hello World 2. So now I want to update my project settings by going to File, Project Settings, and I'm going to make my resolution to be a better aspect ratio with my screen. So I'm going to set it to 900 by 600. Now I'm going to run it again, and now it fits better in the window. So let's make a simple guessing game. Alright, so here's our guessing game. We're going to ask the user to guess a number between 1 and 100 and then print out that guess. So let's run it. Okay, I'm going to guess 50, and then it prints out the number 50. Alright, so the first thing I did was in my print statement, so I've got a couple new parameters here. The first one is called inline, and I've set that to false. And that means that it will print a new line after the print statement is done at the end of the line. So I want it to print a new line. I'm also adding another new line, so there's going to print two new lines. And then I have the parameter is centered, and I'm setting that to true to center the message. And over here I've got the input statement, and I'm calling that, and I'm going to set a prompt, which my prompt is guess a number between 1 and 100. And then I provide a callback function that gets called back after the user enters the number and presses the return key. And then finally, I just print the guess out. So now let's add an answer, and let's see if the user can guess that answer. All right, so now we've added the answer by picking a random number between 1 and 100. So basically picking a number random between 0 and 99 and adding 1 to that. And then we are checking to see if the answer is equal to the guess and printing out you guessed correctly. And else we're printing out no, you got the wrong guess. So let's run it. And of course, I guessed wrong. The odds are against me. So now how do we get it so the user can keep guessing until they get it right? We could maybe add another input statement in here if it's wrong. You say $.input. I mean, we really don't want to have a lot of callbacks and input statements and nest the input statements here. So let's find another approach to this. The code we have here is much better. Here we have everything happening sequentially, all laid out in one function. Now you have to add the keyword async in order to make this work, because this is a requirement in JavaScript in order to use the await keyword. What is going on is that the $.input function is returning an object called a promise. I won't go into detail about promises here, but the value in the assignment on the left-hand side, the guess variable, when used with the await keyword, won't contain the promise, but it will ultimately be the value we want, the guess. Just remember that await and async must go together or this won't work. So now we have a loop here, and while the guess is not as equal to the answer, and you notice that we set the first guess to -1, so the first guess before we step into the loop, it will always be false. Then we're going to ask them for their input number, and if that's wrong, we're going to by default set the hint to too high, and then we're going to set if the guess is less than the answer, we're going to say too low, and then we're going to print wrong and then hint. All right, so let's run this. Start off with 50, too high, so let's go down to 25, too low. 37, too high. 30, too low. 33, too high. 32, too high. 31's got to be it. So we have a problem here with our code. And let me show you what that is. Basically, the guess here is going to be a string value. So we need to convert it into a number. So we're just going to pass in the number function here, and that will convert it into a number. But what if they guess a negative number? Or what if it's not a number at all? Actually, there's a better way with Pi.js. Don't just need to convert it to a number. We're going to set in an extra parameter here. And what we're going to do is the parameter is called isNumber. We're going to set that to true. IsInteger, we're going to set that to true. And allow negative, we're going to set that to false. So true, true, false. Oh, and we're going to set the callback to null. True, true, false. And make sure we got that right. So now let's give it a try. All right, I'm going to type in ABC, nothing happens. I'm going to type in a negative number, nothing happens. So let's go ahead and get our first guess, 50, too low. So we're going to go 75, too low. We're going to go 90, too high. 85 is correct. There we go, and now it's working. Finally, let's add some sound effects, since this is really easy to do with Pi.js. All right, so I've added some sound effects if they guess too low or they guess too high. And I'm using the $.play method from Pi.js. And that basically allows you to type in music notes to play a certain song, and that song is going to play when they guess it either too high or too low. So let's run it. I'm going to start off with my usual 50. And you can hear that. It's too low. So I'm going to go 75. Still too low. Let's try 90. Too high. 80. Too low. So let's go 82. And there you have it. And now we have sounds. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.